is this? Well, instead of the whole
And
screen.
a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Appreciate your patience here as we got set in the studio here. We got something really amazing coming up for you later today with Jason Leone and something that we got to do for you at Mother's Cupboard on 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York, the home of my sandwich, the Q-Smack Mother, that you can get there 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. right there exclusively at Mother's Cupboard. My breakfast sandwich, bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Cut it up and have it with some syrup. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. Go out there to Mother's and support local today. With that being said, look out for that special with Jason Leone coming up. And inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios this morning, hour number one is going to be spent with Papa Joe. PJ joins me here, of course, on a Thursday, and Papa Joe and I will be talking about the Major League Baseball standings and happenings going around the world of Major League Baseball as we are heading into the All-Star break. The next time Papa Joe and I speak, it will be post All-Star break because the All-Star game, which caps off All-Star break, is going to be on Tuesday, July 15th, which is this coming Tuesday. So a lot of great stuff coming up in the sport of baseball, and PJ and I will be speaking on that here today. So we're happy to have you here where sports truly meets that thing called life. And in hour number two at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, a wake up call special presentation will come your way featuring Laura and John Lally, who have donated the John A. Lally Complex to Syracuse University. It gave over $20 million, a $25 million gift, plus everything else they've done over time at Syracuse University. We'll be speaking on all that they're doing for Syracuse University in an effort to uplift and bring Syracuse into this new era of athletics, as well as speaking about giving back to the community, other places that really mean a lot to them, including helping people with special needs, and the story of John and Laura Lally that you may not know. So a lot of great stuff is coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora this morning, where sports truly meets that thing called life. And that special presentation, once again, with John and Laura Lally, will be coming your way in hour number two. Do not miss a second of that special presentation here this morning. Of course, we're with you up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So with that being said, the man of hour number one, Papa Joe, here with us, picture in picture, speaking on Major League Baseball just before the 2025 All-Star break. PJ, how we doing today?
Good morning, Daniel. Fine. Just trying to hold MT together here with her many maladies here with her eyes and her teeth, but she's doing fine.
Yeah, I know MT is definitely a trooper, and she fights the good fight. We got to speak this week and laugh a bit, so I know she's getting better and getting on the mend, and looking forward to all the good things coming her way very soon here. So, PJ, we take a look at this Major League Baseball season and the fact that we are about to head into the All-Star break. We know that we are less than a week away from that All-Star game happening, which you love so very much. So I'd love to get your thoughts on what's going on in baseball right now, the current standings, as we are a little bit past the midway point of Major League Baseball's 81 games in a 162 game season. We're a little bit past that midpoint and would love for you to share where every team is at and where these divisions are at as we step into the All-Star break.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, go ahead.
There are some surprises in the last week or so. One of the surprises is the decline of the Yankees. I don't understand it. One of my favorite players was just designated for free agency, DJ LeMahieu, who only won the batting title twice while he's been in baseball. But the Yankees can't seem to find a spot for him anymore because they got Chisholm, who was playing third base, has to go to second base. That's supposed to be his base. So they got rid of DJ, but they're still going to have to pay him something like $20 million. But let me get with Let me get with the standings and stuff, and then we'll go on from there. American League East, we got the Blue Jays have surged ahead in that capacity. They're up by 2.5 games over the Yankees. Why? Because they were 9-1 in the last 10 games, but the Yankees are 4-6. That's 3 games right there. Instead of Yankees being up a half a game, they're down 2.5. Yankees have no pitching. They lost one of their starting pitchers, Clark Schmidt. Tommy John surgery, won't be back probably not till 26. Maybe even middle of 26. So it's a tough situation for the Yankees. They're going to have to buy an arm sooner or later. But the Rays are sitting in third spot, only 4 games back. The Red Sox are 5.5 back, and Baltimore is not out of it, but they're not being competitive like they were last year. We'll go to Major League Central. Tigers have got things all wrapped up. They're not going anywhere. They're up. They're 59-35. They're up by 13 over Kansas City and 14.5 over Cleveland, 13 over Minnesota. So I still like the Royals in this division. I don't know if they have enough to get the Tigers, but I think they'll make the playoffs. My opinion, that's all. At American League West, we got Houston running away with things again over there. We got the Mariners sitting in second position, 6.5 back. Both teams were 6-4 the last 10. So the Angels are 45-47. They're 9.5 back. Got a real slight chance of making some noise in the postseason. But something good happened last night. Mike Trout hit 2 home runs, drove in 3 runs. I don't know when's the last time he hit 2 home runs in a game. So I'm happy about that. Happy about that, let me tell you. Let's go to the National League. We got the Phillies up 54-39 over the Mets, 53-39, half a game separating them. They both almost tied last 10 games last week. The Marlins are out of it, and so are the Braves. So that looks like what we said at the beginning of the year, that Philly and New York are going to battle it out for the whole thing. National League Central, we got the Cubs sitting really good at 54-38. The Brewers had just swept the Dodgers 3 games at Brewer Stadium. Shocking. The Brewers are a good team, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, the Dodgers are a super team. So they beat them like a redheaded stepchild. They beat them every which way. They beat them long, they beat them short, running the bases, hitting home runs. Dodgers had no answers for the Brewers. I'm happy for the Brewers, of course. The Cardinals are sitting in third place, 5.5 back. The Reds 7.5 back, and Pittsburgh, unfortunately, with one of the best arms in baseball, Paul Skeens, is 17 back. And I suggested to Pittsburgh after this All-Star break, I would tread very lightly with Mr. Skeens. Don't overthrow him. Give him his 5 innings, 6 innings, maybe give him an extra day rest. Don't burn him out, because you're not going anywhere, Pittsburgh. You're not going to win any titles. You're not even going to get the wild card. Let's go to the West. We got the Dodgers sitting at 56-38. The Giants only half a game back. The Padres have slipped a little bit. They're 6 games back. Arizona, Daniel's team is 9.5 back. The Rockies, forget about them. The Dodgers, I watched a couple of the games from Milwaukee, mainly because I'm still a Milwaukee fan, but the Dodgers just didn't have it. I don't know what happened, but what can you say? I mean, it's just it's Major League Baseball, and sometimes things change. And in the course of the week, things have changed an awful lot, Daniel.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely. I mean, when we look at where teams are at this first portion of the season, it comes down to and again being a Diamondback fan since the Diamondbacks came into the league just a few years. Well, I mean the late '90s, I should say. It feels like it was a few years ago to me, but it was a lot longer than that. Coming in 1998. But yeah, I mean a lot of things have changed. The American League, like you said, the Toronto Blue Jays, they were close to taking an opportunity at first place. Now they have it by 2.5 games over the Yankees. And then we take a look at the Detroit Tigers, who are 13 games ahead of both teams here. And it's crazy to see the Detroit Tigers with the amount of separation that they have from the Kansas City Royals and Minnesota Twins. And then you look at the Chicago White Sox, 27.5 games back. The Houston Astros, it's typically Houston, Seattle, and Texas fighting for the American League West. And right now it's Houston by 6.5. And the Angels are above the Texas Rangers. And the Texas Rangers, 10 games back. The Athletics, 17.5 games back. As much as they're back, still playing better than they have played in the last couple seasons. And in the National League, the Mets and the Phillies continue to fight. The Phillies still have first place, but only by a half a game. And the crazy thing about that is, after the Phillies and the Mets, half a game of separation, the Miami Marlins are 11 games behind. The Braves are 13, and the Braves are hosting the Major League Baseball All-Star Weekend. And we're going to see, obviously Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Braves, their host, and Ronald Acuna Jr. is going to be a starter for the Major League Baseball All-Star game that's going to be this Tuesday, July 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then, like you talked about, the NL Central, this division has been close before. It's close again. Chicago's only up by a game and a half on the Brewers. And then within striking distance, the Cardinals are almost a series away, 5.5 games back. And then the Dodgers continue to run the West in the National League, like you had brought up, with San Francisco and San Diego just a few games back. San Francisco 5 games back, San Diego 6 games back, and the Diamondbacks less than 10 games away from this. And the Diamondbacks are just 1 game from being at 500 this season. So some things have stayed the same when we talk about the Dodgers and the Cubs. Other things have changed with the Phillies getting back to first place, the AL West with the Angels playing better than the Rangers, and Houston creating a lot of separation, and then Detroit just running away with this division. Detroit might win the AL Central 100 games in. So, I mean, that's what we're looking at right now. And the Toronto Blue Jays, credit to them and the tremendous work that they have done as they have, taken over where the Yankees are. And the Yankees with Max Fried and, some of these guys that have helped to bail them out, and Aaron Judge, who's obviously had a good season. You question where are some of these other bats coming from? Where are some of the pitching help going to come from besides Max Fried? And do the Yankees have enough to people are asking, do the Yankees have enough to win a World Series? Now the question becomes, do the Yankees have enough to make it to the postseason? So it's definitely going to be an interesting All-Star break as we are in a position here where teams like the Blue Jays have come up the ranks here. Phillies and Mets continue to fight, and the Detroit Tigers look like they might have this division all wrapped up pretty soon.
What I want to do, Daniel, is go through some stats next.
Yeah.
I think this is important because you're going to see who's leading what, like I usually do every year or every week. I've taken a different approach in this particular session. You like my notes. I have piles and piles of notes. And what I've decided to do is to get into the 21st century and actually look at a computer screen and do the same thing I've got on a sheet of paper. So I'm going to try that if I don't screw it up.
Okay.
American League hitting. No surprise here. Aaron Judge is hitting 360, leading Jacob Wilson from the Athletics at 335. I caught Jacob Wilson playing baseball a couple times this last week.
Yeah.
The kid's really good, really, really good. His father was a former pitcher in the league. Seems like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You got a few of these other kids in the Holiday family are following their father, Matt Holliday, into the major leagues. Home runs. Cal Raleigh from Seattle's got 36. Aaron Judge has got 34. Now, Seattle's playing New York, and I have just caught 2 nights ago. Raleigh hit a home run in the upper deck in Yankee Stadium. So this guy's no fluke. The only thing that I caution Mr. Raleigh about is this: don't change your swing, even though you're going to go into the home run derby. I don't like that, but he says he wants to do it. So let's see what he does. Judge has got 34 home runs. Those two guys probably going to run back and forth all year long. Runs batted in. Aaron Judge is slightly ahead at 77. Cal Raleigh's got 76. Riley Green from Detroit's got 72. He's leading that team in just about every category. Let's go to some pitching. Max Fried, the Yankees, 11 wins, Tarek Skubal's got 10 for the Detroit. I caught Skubal again. I mean, the guy sometimes is unhittable. He won the Cy Young last year, and it was like he's in line to do it again this year. Reed's going to have to stay up with this guy if he wants to get it. This 2-ball is just nasty as could be. Complete games, Skubal's got earned run average is leading the league at 2.02, and Max Fried is 2.27. Both of these guys are tough. And saves, Carlos Estevez from Kansas City's leading with 25, followed by my man Josh Hader, used to be of the Brewers. He's got 25 too. So these guys are tough. Let's go to the National League. And we're sitting with, you're not going to believe this. Here it is. We're not even halfway through the year.
Yeah.
And no one in the National League is hitting 300.
Yeah.
Freddie Freeman's leading it at 299. And Michael Busch from Chicago's hitting 297. What's happening with these guys? They can't hit. The league, not good. Home runs. Your man Ohtani's leading with 31. Eugenio Suarez from Zona has got 29. Runs batted in. Seiyo Suzuki from Chicago's got 77. I still haven't seen him play yet. He seems like he's a giant guy, big hitter. Eugenio Suarez has 77 RBIs, and Alonso's got 75 also. Let's go to some pitching. Freddie Peralta from the Brewers got 10 wins. That's leading everything. Zach Wheeler from Philadelphia's got 9, and a bunch of his buddies are right behind him. Philly's got a tough pitching staff again this year. Runs batted in. No, excuse me, my bad. Earned run average, Paul Skeens from Pittsburgh. You heard me talk about him a little while ago. He's at 1.94. Zach Wheeler at 2.17. Again, caution to Pittsburgh. Please don't overpitch this guy. You're not going to get in the post even. You can try, but don't overuse this kid. Long term, people, long term. Robert Suarez from San Diego's leading saves with 26. That's it in a nutshell, bud.
Yeah, and like you said, given the update on where we are statistically right now as these teams, again, get set to head in to the All-Star break and get set for the opportunity to see what they could do once they come out of this break. Some teams are good for a half a season. Some teams are good throughout the season. And some teams, are going to struggle when they're into certain pieces of this season. So it'll be interesting to see how things shake out here. And if the Toronto Blue Jays continue to be effective and to be positive as they move forward in the American League East, will the Tigers have any type of threat in the American League Central? And can anyone who gets close to the Dodgers actually make it a fight in the National League West? So we shall see. We're going to take a step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. We will be back with Papa Joe here in hour number 1 in just a few moments, right after this fast break.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Avicoli's restaurant, located on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, has been serving our community for decades. Your place to go for home cooking on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road is just minutes from Liverpool High School. And every single month, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is on site, on location, with Liverpool sports, student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories throughout the year. We look forward to seeing you on site at Avicoli's for their casual pizza side, their fine dining, as well as their bar. And of course, you can order online at myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. For takeout, delivery, and catering, call 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100. Come on into the neighborhood spot Avicoli's, open 7 days a week in Liverpool, New York. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is your home away from home for your furry-loving friends. Open 7 days a week with drop-off and pickup times in the morning and later on in the day and early evening. K9 Campground Dog Boarding is the spot to trust with your dog for short and long-term stays. Call 315-299-4013 for more information. That's 315-299-4013, and go to k9campground.com as well. That's K9, ground.com, where you will find all of the information on their different cabins, which include the classic cabin, executive cabin, grand cabin, and luxury cabin. K9 Campground Dog Boarding, where your dog will have indoor and outdoor areas as well as their own private cabin for any size, any breed, as well as dogs with different needs. Dog parents and dogs alike choose K9 Campground Dog Boarding. Isn't that right, Lily? Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City, coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us where sports truly meets that thing called life. I can't thank you enough for being a part of the show here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, as we are here with Papa Joe, picture in picture, speaking on the Major League Baseball season, as we are less than a week from the 2025 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. And of course, we're heading into All-Star break, which is much more than simply the game, which is this Tuesday, July 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. PJ, where else would you like to go in the Major League Baseball world? Beyond the stats, beyond the standings, what else is on your mind today?
Well, I want to go over some areas that the contenders need when it comes to help before the All-Star, or before the end of July. Specifically, I'm going to start with the Tigers. They don't need a lot, that's for sure, because they're leading their division. However, their manager, A.J. Hinch, has always been thought of sort of like as a cheater, because he was the manager of Houston when Houston got caught stealing signs several years ago. However, he's resurfaced. He's a hell of a coach. However, he's going to be looking for a decent reliever. They have what's called a hit and miss reliever. One guy one day, one guy another guy. They don't have a real tough one. So I suggest that they go visit the Pittsburgh Pirates, since Pirates aren't going anywhere, as they could get their reliever called David Bednar. He had a rough early part of the 20s, but he's come back strong. He's got a nasty fastball, nasty curve. He's tough. He's tough to hit. So perhaps Detroit could see that. Houston's looking to get a starting pitcher. Now that's at this time of the league, it's kind of rough to find one, because the good ones are still pitching well. Even if you're with a bad team, they're still pitching well. And the ones that aren't pitching well have got something wrong with them. However, there's one guy that I talked about a lot last year, and that was Seth Hugo from Kansas City. Hugo, I think, is on the trade market. And I think that Houston probably could benefit by trading for Mr. Hugo. Toronto Blue Jays, another raid to the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think Toronto's looking for a starting pitcher. I think last week we talked to a young man that came on the show or texted into the show saying that what would Papa J, what would you suggest for Toronto starting pitching? Well, I thought maybe Sandy Alcantara would do the job, but no, I think that Toronto is looking to get Mitch Keller from Pittsburgh. That's probably a smarter move. Pittsburgh's a seller this time of year. Let's go to the Yankees. My goodness. How about the Yankees about anything? They're saying third base, and I'm pissed about one thing. I'm going to rant about it right now. The Yankees have given DJ LeMahieu their designated free agent. They cut him in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
The guy is a two-time Major League hitting champion when he was with Colorado. Now, let's face it, you know that. If you can hit for Colorado, you're a hell of a hitter. So what do the Yankees do? They keep Mike Stanton, who can't run, can't field, can't do anything but hit. So they're going to keep him. They move Chisholm to second base, and they bring in one of the rookie guys to play third base. Meanwhile, DeLeMahieu is out in the cold. Now, someone's going to pick him up. But in the meanwhile, what I want to suggest to the Yankees is go raid Arizona, because Suarez is doing well for Arizona right now. He's a top-notch hitter, good fielder. Yeah. It's going to cost him a lot of money because Suarez is doing really well this year. The Yankees need Suarez. Let's go to Tampa Bay Rays. They're sort of out of it, not out of it all the way, but they could probably get a second place here. I look for them to go to get Griffin Jack from Minnesota. Minnesota's marginally in their their division, doing fair. I think that's a good match for them. Seattle Mariners, I just saw them. They're still seeing them on the Yankees. Your man Josh Naylor is going to be a good fit for them, Daniel, from Arizona. I hate to say it, but Arizona, I'm not sure they're really going to be sellers right now, but I think that they're looking to, I think they need to look past this year to next year. And if they get something for Naylor, I think it's wise. I'm not saying that's good, Daniel, but I'm saying it's wise. The Red Sox need relief pitching. I look for them. Ryan Hesling from St. Louis is doing a good job for them. Suggest the Red Sox look there. National League, the Dodgers. My goodness, what's happening to their pitching? I caught Gonsolin pitching last night against the Brewers. His first time he's pitched in a month. He looked shaky. He didn't give any runs.
Yeah. But
he walked several guys, didn't strike out that many. So they're looking for just starting pitching. The best matchup for them is Duran from Minnesota. It'd be a good fit for them. Chicago Cubs. Here's where this is important for the Cubs. Not only are they leading their division, they got to put some distance between them and Milwaukee. And how can they do that? They need another strong starting pitching. This is where I think, other than Toronto, Sandy Alcantara from the Miami would fit into Chicago perfectly. That's what I suggested them.
Yeah.
The Phillies.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, you're looking at some of these moves at the deadline for trades inside of Major League Baseball is July 31st, which is going to be, I mean, as we are here today on the 10th, it is exactly 3 weeks from today. So 3 weeks from this day that we are here, Thursday, July 10th, on July 31st, a Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, all of these trades have to be in, set, and locked. The faxes have to be sent, so to speak. And so, as we look at this, I know you said Arizona and the Yankees having to go after some people here. I do want to get to a couple notes that you made, and one of them being about DJ LeMahieu, who has been designated for free agency from the New York Yankees. I mean, this happens with the infielder, ends his 7-year tenure with the New York Yankees. He's owed $22 million next season. Yankees general manager Brian Cashman said, quote, tough decisions. In the end, it ultimately comes down to how this roster sits and what's best. You want to provide your manager with enough chess moves to deal with on a day in and day out basis in game, end quote. Now, the thing that I'm thinking about for the Yankees is it's like they don't have a spot for him right now. But what if there's an injury? What if they need depth? What if they make it to the postseason? This is a question that always comes up, right? If something happens out of their control, then do we look back at this moment and say, man, it would have been good for them to have DJ LeMahieu? So looking at this, Boone announced that Jazz Chisholm Jr. would shift back to playing second base every day from third base, which bumps LeMahieu from the team's everyday second baseman to a bench role. And so that's something to obviously look at with Jazz Chisholm going to second base. Where was DJ LeMahieu going to fit in? Boone said, Aaron Boone, the manager of the Yankees, said, quote, it's been a tough couple days, some hard conversations, and then ultimately coming to this conclusion. Obviously not easy for who's been a great player. He's done a lot of great things for this organization, so difficult, but at the end, we feel like this is the right thing to do at this time, end quote. LeMahieu is turning 37 this Sunday. He batted .266 with a .674 OPS in 45 games this season after starting the season on the injured list with a strained calf. Now, he has been better since June 1st, hitting .310 with a .754 OPS in 96 plate appearances as the Yankees' primary second baseman, but Cashman ultimately decided the production wasn't enough. The Yankees had signed LeMahieu to a 6-year, $90 million contract before the 2021 season, fresh off of him hitting .364 during the COVID-shortened 2020 campaign, to become the first player to win a batting title in both leagues in the modern era. envisioning him as an everyday utility player bouncing between infield positions. So LeMahieu made 36 of his 55 starts last season at third base before going on the injured list in early September with a right hip impingement for the remainder of the year. That injury, according to Cashman, inhibited LeMahieu's ability to play third base and led to LeMahieu informing him that he could not physically handle playing the position anymore. So LeMahieu's been through injury, but he also, like you talked about, PJ, I mean, we're talking about someone who's a two-time batting champion, and he did it in both leagues, both the American League and the National League. So looking at someone who has done something like that, and the first player to do that in the modern era of baseball is huge. And now, right before his 37th birthday, he will not be with the Yankees. Thoughts on who might snatch this guy up?
It's a bad move. I think he was the way I can read between the lines. I think that they offered him a bench position. We're going to sit you. You can be our spare coming in. He can play anywhere. He could even catch if he had to be. This is an important player, period. I mean, sure, he's going to be 37 years old, and he's had some difficulties recently with his body. But I still wouldn't give up. And frankly, if they offered him a job, I think he'd decline it. So he'd be better off. That's probably why he says, well, look, I'm not going to sit on the bench. If you can't use me, DF me and I'll find a job somewhere. And that's what he's going to do. He'll find a job. That's for sure.
Well,
Let me keep going what I got.
Yeah, go ahead you had the Phillies up next.
I got the Phillies up next in National League. They need help with the bullpen. Now, last year I talked an awful lot about Emmanuel Clace from Cleveland, and he was nasty. He shut the door for Cleveland several times. I think he even won Fireman of the Year. Not so this year. He's having a tough time, but doesn't mean he can't throw strikes. I think Philly would most definitely could use him. The Mets. Here we go, Daniel. I think we're gonna have to raid your zona again.
Okay.
They need pitching depth if they're going to compete with Philadelphia. Philadelphia's got the pitching. We know that. Now with Luzardo pitching, with Wheeler and the rest of those guys, you got to beat them with the bats, not with pitching. And I think that Arizona could definitely get rid of Zach Gallen. Zach is not doing a good job at all this year. Struggling, high ERA. He's a better pitcher than that. Maybe he needs a change of scenery, but I think Arizona could be sailing in this point, Daniel. The Brewers, they're looking for power hitting. They got some good players. They don't hit a lot of home runs. Christian Yelich is their best player. He hasn't hit home runs in 5 years, although he's batting much better. I look for them to go after Ryan O'Hearn from Baltimore. Baltimore's got an influx of a bunch of good players and hitters. They can afford to get rid of this guy. Let's go to the San Francisco Giants. They're looking for starting pitching too. Now, Daniel, here's another area of Arizona that's strong, and that's Merrill Kelly. I'm not sure that the Arizona would trade him to someone in the same division like San Francisco, but I think San Francisco could use starting pitching. Kelly's the foremost person I have in my mind, but I don't know if that's going to go because they're in the same division. That's a shaky one. The Padres, they're looking for outfield help. Jaron Duran from Boston looks like he's a trade bait. Yeah. I look for them to maybe grab him. The Cardinals, I don't know where. I'm not even going to go into the Cardinals because I think they're going to be too far out of it. Although they could use some starting pitching. The Reds, another one. They're in a deal with Chicago and Milwaukee. Chicago and Milwaukee are beating everyone, and Cincinnati and St. Louis really don't have much shot. So I'm really not going to comment on that. There are sellers, Daniel, and there's buyers. In the next couple of weeks, it's really going to get down to the deadline. You're going to see a lot of movement, a lot of trades, a lot of kids coming up from the minor leagues. Some kids are going to be DF, like Lee DeLemayhew. Some kids are going to wind up on the 25-man roster. A lot of activity still. I think some of the general managers are just playing coy with each other. However, if they can get someone they want quickly, then they'll do it. A lot of activity, Daniel.
Yeah, and go back to the New York Yankees. They have lost plenty of pitching this season. They have been out from having their closer at times. Obviously, they don't have their ace in Garrett Cole. They just lost Clark Schmidt for the season at Tommy John surgery recently here. Yankees general manager Brian Cashman said yesterday, for those of you watching live here, said yesterday on Wednesday, July 9th, he is quote unquote definitely looking to acquire a starting pitcher ahead of the July 31st trade deadline, adding that the bullpen and infield are also areas he'll seek to upgrade. He said, quote, that doesn't guarantee anything, but it's that time of the year now, and end quote. And taking a look at this now, Garrett Cole, like I said, underwent season-ending Tommy John surgery in March. Lewis Gill suffered a lat strain in February and isn't expected to make his season debut until late July or early August. Ryan Yarbrough, an unexpected crucial contributor after signing with the team at the end of spring training, was placed on the injured list June 22nd because of an oblique strain. Schmidt was the fourth starter for the Yankees this season, sidelined after tests revealed a partially torn ulnar collateral ligament. Cam Schlittler, a top prospect, took Schmidt's rotation spot Wednesday for his major league debut against the Seattle Mariners. In the bullpen, relievers Fernando Cruz has an oblique injury. Mark Leiter Jr. has a fibula injury. They're on the injured list indefinitely. And then looking at Jonathan Luciga and Luke Weaver, they have obviously had, we know that Luke Weaver's had his injuries as well. So, quote, whether it's bullpen guys or starting pitchers, it's just all of it. This coming from Cashman. That's the area. We have people that are capable, but I think it also needs to get some help. And if I can do so, great. But again, there's no guarantees. We're going to be fully engaged and see where it takes us. Hopefully we can run into some opportunities that can benefit us. End quote. Now, Cashman addressed the media Wednesday in the wake of his decision to send DJ LeMahieu for assignment. And now looking at where this team is going to go, I said going into the season that what they had against them in the World Series was the fact it wasn't their starting pitching. It was the fact that the Yankees didn't have guys to go in the fourth inning, the fifth, the sixth, seventh. They didn't have those guys coming out of the bullpen that can be that middle ground for the team. They didn't have any scary pitchers going up against a team like the Dodgers that could slow down the Dodgers offense. And that was something that I thought they needed, was relief help, that they had to have pitchers that could come in the middle of a game and be effective. So, like he said, he's looking for bullpen, which is what I thought they needed before the season even began. Plus now having all of these starters go down, all of these injuries happen, and have an issue with your closer, the Yankees are going to have to be extremely advantageous with this. Said, quote, we pursue options, but they're within everything that our ownership provides for us to do. It doesn't mean we could do everything at any time. It just comes down to the array of choices available to you, whether it's a trade or a free agent acquisition. At some point, you may run out of how much money you're spending, and some big log may be too much to add to the fire. If it's a free agent import or if it's a trade import, it might be robbing Peter to pay Paul, end quote. This all coming from Brian Cashman. So we shall see what the Yankees do, but it's going to be now the Yankees' competitive balanced tax payroll currently stands at $309.9 million, according to Spot Track, more than $8 million over the highest tax threshold of $301 million. As a result, any dollar the Yankees spend over that amount will come with a 60% surcharge. In February, owner Hal Steinbrenner said the highest threshold is not a concern to me, quote unquote. And last season, the Yankees spent $378.87 million between payroll and tax payments. Asked Wednesday whether payroll limitations could impact the organization's decision making before the trade deadline, Cashman said he didn't know. Quote, we'll see. I'm going to engage everybody on everything, and I'll share all that information with ownership and see where it takes us. I've had deadlines where I've acquired talent that had to be paid down to make it fit, that were making money. I've had deadlines where we took on big contracts and stuff like that. Ultimately, the great thing about the Steinbrenner family is they're willing. They want to listen to everything the market is willing to bear. Hal has always told me, do not assume anything. Make sure you take everything through me, explain the thought process by the group, and keep me informed. End quote. So the Yankees going into the season needed bullpen help. The Yankees right now need starting pitching help, bullpen help, and potentially some batting help if they hope to be relevant here in the second half of the season. The good thing about this, PJ, is that the Steinbrenner family has never been a stranger to spending money. Hal's saying, hey, you know what? Everything's on the table, is what I'm hearing from Hal. Like, bring it to us. We'll take a look at it. George Steinbrenner would have went over the tax threshold of the tax threshold of a tax threshold by this point because George would have spent the money at the beginning of the season. He would be spending money right now. He wouldn't be waiting. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this because Hal's saying, hey, you know, I'm not concerned about the money. I'm not concerned about, the tax threshold and all this. Is he starting to sound more like George Steinbrenner? And is that a good thing?
Yeah, he's it was always been said in the last, well, actually forever. The Dodgers and the Yankees could always buy a championship, which is why they spent so much money. We know that the Dodgers do, that's for sure. I'm not sure that Aaron Boone is up to the task here lately. I mentioned last week that I'm very familiar with and admire the entire Boone family, grandfather, father, and Aaron. They're great baseball guys. Just like last week when I was watching this kid, Will Warren, who's another one of the Yankees' hot new starters, young starters. He got bombed for 7 runs in the first inning without even throwing it out, and Boone didn't go get him. Don't like that. I don't like that. So, Aaron, I think you need to sharpen it up a little bit. There's always Mary always tells me that when we're doing a deal, she says, Joe, you better sharpen your pencil. And I always do that. And I think at this particular point, Aaron, you need to sharpen your pen, whatever you're using on the lineup. I think you need to do a little bit better of managing. I'm not sure where the decision came to get rid of De LeMahieu, but I guess you just have to wait it out. I mean, every week, I think that the scenery changes every week, especially with teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers. But the Dodgers aren't going anywhere. They're in excellent shape going forward. Gonsolin, even though he was shaky last night, didn't only pitch 5 innings, of course. You can't pitch any more than 5 innings these days. Maybe 6, whoopee, 6 innings for a starter. The Yankees, well, the Yankees are the Yankees. I watch them just about every time they're on. I don't like to miss anything. I think they got a good team, not a great team. And I think they probably have a boatload of prospects that they can give for a starting pitcher somewhere. I just don't know what they are.
Yeah, and the Yankees, again, I mean, they're going to have to do something with pitching. It was exposed in the World Series, and now with all the injuries that they've sustained on top of the fact that they didn't have answers for teams like the Dodgers, you needed to have an answer before the season. Now you need to really have something set up here because any type of help that they would have had from leaving their aces in a little bit longer, losing Garrett Cole and losing some of these other guys and having Luke Weaver go out and all of this. I mean, it just puts the Yankees in more of I don't want to call it a crisis situation, but it's definitely, if the red light goes off, then you know that I wouldn't be surprised if the red light goes off in the factory to alert everybody that something needs to change. The Yankees are going to have to be very advantageous, and honestly, they're going to have to be like the old Yankees, and they're going to have to be the team that you're going to hear over and over again before the trade deadline. And those big deals are going to have to come through for them because they cannot stay in the place that they're in right now and hope to just get by trying to figure out who's going to help them besides Max Fried when it comes to standing on the mound. Now, we did make mention of the Detroit Tigers, and I want to give them a shout out here really quick. The Detroit Tigers have the they have the best record in the majors currently right now, and they're also tied for having the most all-stars with the Los Angeles Dodgers, with Zach McKinstry pick Wednesday to replace Houston Astros shortstop Jeremy Pena as well, who has been dealing with a rib injury. And the outfielder will join Detroit second baseman Gleyber Torres and outfielders Javier Baez and Riley Green. And staff ace Tariq Skubal will also be joining here, who's among the candidates to start the All-Star game on Tuesday night in Atlanta. So gotta give credit where credit's due here, as the Tigers now have the most All-Stars in the 2025 Major League Baseball All-Star game, tying the 5 that the Dodgers have. Dodgers have Shohei Ohtani, Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and Clayton Kershaw, who was picked as the Legends pick for this. So the Tigers and the Dodgers leading when it comes to who will be out there for Major League Baseball All-Stars. Any final notes, PJ, before we let you go here today?
No, that's good. We did a good job. Probably the trade deadline information is going to be fluid every week, and there's probably something to talk about every week. There's going to be more DFAs, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I'm looking for someone to pick up DJ LeMahieu. I think that he's still valuable to someone if he can play so many positions. I think the Yankees forgot how valuable a player he was, but that's their bad, not mine.
Yeah, so we shall see what happens here. The Tigers continue to do well. The Dodgers continue to improve. Teams like the Yankees are left really needing to look at the free agents that are out there, needing to look at the trades. And the Mets and the Phillies, will anyone make a move as they are fighting each other? A half a game separates the two, with the Phillies currently in first place. As always, PJ, I appreciate the time, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care. And coming from Papa Joe here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate him being here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Thursday. Papa Joe joining us here on the broadcast on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Coming up in just a few minutes, we have the story of John and Laura Lally. When you drive by Syracuse University, you see the John A. Lally complex and all of these buildings with the Lally name on it, and that is definitely a reflection of the hard work, dedication, and determination that John and Laura have had in making sure that Central and Upstate New York have what they need to move forward in a positive fashion, not just for athletics, but for the community in general. And I do want to make a note here before I go any further with anything to truly share with you that this family has done so much for the community that goes beyond simply what you see with the Lally complex. And so I do want to make a note of some of the things that they have done here in the community. Challenger Baseball's Field of Dreams, as well as working with Unified Athletics, Special Olympics, the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, Maureen's Hope, and the Big Brothers Big Sisters organization as well. So when we have this conversation with the Lallies, which is a wake-up call special presentation that will air in about 5 minutes, you will have the opportunity to get to know their story, their journey. How did they meet each other? Why do they give? The positive domino effect, and what it means for them to work with the community as closely as they do, and what does it mean? Why did they choose to work with Syracuse University? What does it mean for Syracuse University, this giving, and at the time that it's happening, as the world of collegiate athletics is changing? So a lot to come up with the Lally family as John and Laura sit down with me in a way that you probably have never seen them before. This is an extensive conversation with the Lally family discussing giving, aiding others, Syracuse University, the John A. Lally Complex, and so much more, including all of us putting each other on the hot seat and rapid fire. You don't want to miss a moment of it. It comes up after this fast break. From the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, this is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Thank you for being with us, and do not miss a second of what's coming up here with the Lally family. Big time thanks to Papa Joe, and we'll be back in the Great Lakes Honda City Studios right after this.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Life gets busy, and sometimes that means us running around. So Canine Camp Dog Daycare offers you an opportunity to give your dog a place to stay while you take care of what you need to throughout the day. Canine Camp Dog Daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. You can see it from the highway, and it's just off of Erie Boulevard across from BJ's Wholesale Club. Call 315-437-7110. That's 315-437-7110 to schedule an appointment to bring your dog in and tour the facility. Appointments are Monday through Thursday after 6:30, where you and your dog can see everything that Canine Camp Dog Daycare has to offer, including a self-serve dog wash and a retail store filled with all of your dog's wants and needs, including food, treats, harnesses, leashes, and more, making Canine Camp Dog Daycare your one-stop shop for your furry loving friend. Right, Lily? Welcome here to a very special edition of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We are on site, on location at what you all know as the Lally Complex, and we are here with John and Laura Lally, and of course myself, Dan Tortora, here on Wake Up Call. And we get to be in a recruiting room right now, which is pretty nice. So, yeah. First and foremost, welcome to the show to you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I know that in this world of everything that you've done for Syracuse University, there's a lot to unpack and get into when we see the Lally name. But I'd like to go all the way back to kind of how this got started. And John, I'll start with you and your journey. Why be in a world to give back? Why pay it forward? Why has that been something that's meant something to you?
So how many hours do we have?
As long as you want. We'll extend the show for you.
So it actually goes back to my recruitment here. And I came out of high school, and like most offensive linemen graduating at that time from high school, a little bit needed a little bit of discipline, let's say, and ultimately chose Syracuse as the place I wanted to make my home. My 5 years here were very challenging 5 years, for both from an athletics and a university perspective, but actually set the basis of the success in industry. I took a lot of what I learned here and carried it into industry, and built a engineering business out of the Buffalo area, PCB, based on a combination of athletics and academics, and built it from 10 million to 200 million, and ultimately sold it for 580 million. So the start of what I attribute to my success came out of Syracuse University. So it was easy for me when I retired to look at Syracuse as a place that I wanted to give back. The interesting part of that story is I was most interested in the football side, because that's where I made my home, and started to talk with a individual who was also a teammate of mine, Bob Arkilpain, and he did a great job upselling from the football ops center, which we're sitting in right now, to the complex as a whole. I had two kids, a boy and a girl. The first place he took me was to the girls' Olympic sports, and they were quite honestly awful. And we sat there and looked at it and said, well, we've got the capacity. Let's look at potentially upgrading from the football ops center to the complex as a whole. So a lot of the credit, I guess, goes to my daughter and her sports career, because if it wasn't for her, I'm sure I would have never had a chance to see those facilities.
And I appreciate the story and obviously kind of the run through the journey of getting to where we are today. Laura, for you and I have gotten to speak off the air and get to know each other and get to know where you have seen yourself through the years and how you've kind of seen the development of everything that you've done together. So I'd love to get your thoughts about why giving back has been so important to you, and just what you've seen and the why for you.
The why for me, well, to piggyback on what John said, going through the facilities of all sports, not just football, that's obviously our passion. But, I was an athlete in college. Caitlin played lacrosse at Geneseo. Our son played lacrosse at St. John. So we kind of look at it from a parent's perspective and wanted to have a holistic approach when we donated to Syracuse. And from the giving perspective, we didn't want to be just donors at Syracuse. Everywhere we live, we get engaged with the community, and it was really important for us to extend ourselves to the community through the charity work that we do. Um, you know, Challenger Baseball, Maureen's Hope, Unified Athletics, Special Olympics, juvenile diabetes. Our daughter is a juvenile diabetic. So all of those aspects of our life are important, just as important as Syracuse University. But in a community like Syracuse, um, it meant more. Both of us went to school in Central New York. Um, we see a lot of ourselves in this community. Some of my best memories as a kid is my dad hauling us from Buffalo to Syracuse to a basketball game, being 10 years old and wanting popcorn and hot dogs and all those things, and that can be expensive. And we wanted to make sure everything that we did with the community was free. It was for families. It concentrated in areas with kids at risk. So the communities in Buffalo and Syracuse are very similar.
Yeah, we wanted to look at our vision, not just Syracuse athletics, but to athletes of all ages, all abilities, specifically supporting the special needs athletes. Mm-hmm. So it's not we're only interested in how well it works at the college level. We've broadened our support across the community as a whole.
Which is where the Lally zone comes in, which we started with just football. Originally, we had 30 season tickets, and we give them to various groups like the Boys and Girls Club, or like I mentioned, Maureen's Hope, Golisano Hospital, depending on what audience we want to reach. But now we've extended it to, last year was women's lacrosse, men's lacrosse, women's basketball. We do a lot of work with Felicia. She's awesome. And it's been so well received in the community that we have extended it to Mets games. We have a whole group of alumni that work with us and get tickets out, hundreds of tickets out to kids and families and youth groups. And it's a great way for us to reach out to the community without having to be, I guess, in front of it all. We really want it to be more about kids and families and less about us.
Well, and you both described, all that help and that care for the community. And Laura, you spoke on the fact of not just wanting it to be a name on the side of the building.
Right.
And I'd love for you both, and Laura, I'll start with you, why that's so important, that when you see different things that happen in a community or at a school, that it's just naming rights and we see a name and nobody even really knows that person or sees that person. It's just kind of a stamp on the side of the building. It's a donation, it's giving, but there's not a lot of community engagement and involvement. You've said, we don't want to be just a name. We want you to see us, and we want to actually help people that need our help.
Well, yeah, exactly. And we've talked at great length about this. With those naming rights comes a responsibility to the community. And I mentioned we don't like the word philanthropists, right? Because to me that doesn't sound like you're engaged. It sounds like you're giving money and then you're removed from the change in the community. And for us, it's getting to know the people that are making those changes. It's getting to participate in a lot of the events that help kids, and getting to know the parents and getting to know their mission and how can we help develop that and help in any way we can. Always keeping the focus on the organization, on the kids, on the mission, and making sure everything is free and families can enjoy it, and make it special just like our parents made it special for us.
Yeah, it's simple for both of us. The name on the building's nice, and it makes an impact at the university level, and what both of us believe that's great, but we want to make an impact and other areas of the community, such as Challenger Baseball is a big one for us. And, you know, they wanted to put together their Field of Dreams and, you know, looking to have to fundraise. How much it was?
They have an anchor sponsor of $1 million. He's a local guy that's done amazing things, and he lives in another city. I think I don't want to say where he lives because he's out of state, and I don't want to get it wrong. But you know, they had this anchor sponsor for $1 million, which is huge. He was reading the paper one day and was inspired by it, and called Dom from Challenger Baseball and said, "Hey, I'll give you $1 million." And we said, well, we went in for over 400,000 so they could build their Field of Dreams. And it's
making a difference.
It is making a huge difference. All of these kids that would never have the opportunity to play baseball, and their parents would never have the opportunity to see them shine or build the friendships that all parents that have their kids in athletics get to have. And it's really changed our lives.
Yeah, we love going over and watching them participate. You know, a couple times a year we'll go over just to watch the kids, how excited they are, and getting a chance to run the bases, and it's a special day, and it just continues to reinforce to us how we're making a difference with people that really appreciate it.
Well, and that making a difference approach, right? I call it the positive domino effect, that you want to create something, create an experience, to have a connection with someone that can pay off, that they help someone else, and then that helps somebody else, and then we get to a point where the community is better. You keep saying the word community, and John, I'll start with you with this. Community partner versus philanthropist. Community partner, being here, being ingrained, being a part of Central and Upstate New York, even when you're not physically here, to make sure that there is that positive domino effect. Just what you can say to why that's so important, to not simply write a check and walk away, but to feel that you are making a difference and that you have an opportunity to not only change one person's life, but that person having a positive interaction with you could hopefully help somebody else.
Well, this is our community, right? So, you know, my house is not in Syracuse. When I retired, one of the stipulations of my retirement, and Laura knows this, was I'm not going to shovel snow anymore. I shoveled snow for 60-some years, and when it came time, I was not going to shovel snow. So I landed in a place that I don't have to shovel snow. But this is our home. This is our community. This is the place that established my career and left indelible mark on my history and my passion. So we do consider this home, and having a chance to influence, you know, the place that's most special to you was something we both believe strongly in.
I agree, and I think the cornerstones of our value system is always giving back. I mean, that's not everyone's goal, and donating and getting involved is very personal. So for us, the people that have inspired us through our whole lives and formed who we are the same kind of mentors that we learn that giving back to other people is where you find your fulfillment. I mean, we're not. It's hard to get us to do an interview. You know that. And our fulfillment doesn't come from internet likes and being in front. Our fulfillment comes from being engaged with people that are doing meaningful things in the community and helping others, because that will inspire, you know, the 10-year-old today that was John Lally, remembering going to arts and crafts classes or sporting events with his aunt who has special needs, were moments that formed his life. And same with me. So it reinforces the values we were raised with.
And when you look at those foundational pieces, when we talk about the Lally Foundation, what are those pillars, the foundation of what you want to do?
You take that.
What our mission is?
Yeah, just really, and I know that, you know, you and I have gotten to obviously speak on what that is, but we've covered a lot of the pieces, but what you think are those pillars that keep it going?
Your mission.
Well, our mission is always to provide meaningful engagement and opportunities for families and children with an emphasis on special needs. We want to serve children and families that are typically underserved,
Yeah.
and give them opportunities, whether it is educational opportunities with our scholarship programs around the nation, or if it's something as simple as free tickets to a lacrosse game, with their lacrosse youth team. Or is it working with connecting people with the right people in the community to help amplify their message? I'll use Maureen's Hope as a great example. They do a program called Beads of Courage. It's working with terminally ill children and their families. And every time a child goes through a treatment in a cancer center, they get a bead for a necklace. And there's some kids that have thousands of them on a long string. And she wanted to reach the football program and inspire the football team. So we were able to remove those obstacles and have her come in and speak to the football team here at Syracuse. And Fran opened up a practice to some of the children that are in remission and their families, and really took them under his wing. And it was a beautiful experience. And then they all came to the football game together, and the football players carried their beads of courage on the field during the game and wrote letters to these children, and inspired so many other people to get involved. And it has this impact of, you inspire one person, and then they inspire 20, and then before you know it, they inspire 2,000 people, and it's a whole movement. And we get to be part of that, and that's very special to us.
The other thing about the foundation that's important is we don't raise money. All the funds that are donated through the foundation are directed by us. It's our personal funds.
Yeah.
It's not, we're trying to raise funds to direct somebody else's investment into these different charities. These are charities that are important to us or special to us that we've decided to invest in.
Yeah, so we direct and fund all of our giving.
Yeah.
So to add to what John said, there's great foundations in the area that raise money for different charities, and that's terrific. But also, our name is on a building, and we've been very fortunate. So we're not about to ask anybody to donate to us, and we don't accept donations. We don't solicit donations. Everything is 100% funded by our own personal money.
And I think, like you said, that direct contact.
Yeah.
And that it's coming from you, it's your time, it's your money, it's your energy, and it's from things that have mattered to you over time. Because I was going to, when you talk about different places that you've given to and special needs, when you bring that up, growing up on Court Street on the north side, less than 12 minutes from the Dome, there was a home for people with special needs. And I remember to this day coming home, and the way the school bus would come through our community right before it got to my house, it would stop at the Big M, which is now Diamond Market. And one of the gentlemen from the home would stand there every day, and he would wave to us. And during COVID, and then another one would watch me play basketball in my driveway, who'd just stop and watch. And all these years later during COVID, I'm in Wegmans, and I'm walking through the aisle going to get something, and I walk by a group of people, and I turn to my left, and I see that he's still alive and well, and here he is during COVID getting his groceries. And moments like that made me feel good. But like you said about John at 10 years old, and your experience with special needs and people within, a community that needs to be uplifted and needs to be put in the forefront, I felt that as a kid too, around the same age. And so this is very personal for you both.
Yeah.
And it's a great story that you just shared with us, because when we were growing up, now John and I are we're older than you are.
Some of us are even more older than you are.
When we were growing up, there were no unified athletics. There was, I think, Special Olympics had just started, or popularity had just started, but there wasn't anything called unified athletics. But now there's unified basketball, there's unified bowling, they're starting unified volleyball. So those programs provide an opportunity for kids of all skill sets in their school with their classmates to play basketball and to contribute to the team spirit of their school. And it is one of the most inspiring and rewarding programs that you could ever get involved in. And we do a lot with Ari from Liverpool High School, Special Olympics.
Yeah.
He's an amazing guy,
Yeah.
and he's opened up a whole new world for us on that front with Special Olympics, and he's so dedicated and committed to the mission. And we just had one this summer.
So that program that you're talking about at Frontier High School,
Yeah.
we were so moved by it, and the kids were so excited for the award they were getting. The next year we got them warm-ups. So they all got a warm-up code so that they had the same gear that the other students in the school had.
It was
And
super
needless to
cool.
say, they were pretty excited about it.
So Dan, you'll love this story. We have a scholarship for my dad at this high school, and it's one of our
Over in
scholarships,
Buffalo.
and it's in Buffalo. So we went through the whole athletic awards night, and all the athletes are coming through, all very, very impressive, and they're all pretty collected when they go and get their trophy or whatever it is, right? And then the last award is for the unified athletics, and it brought the whole house down because they call their names and they are jumping, and they're that spirit of when you were a kid and you're with your teammates, excited, and it made the whole event, and we thought, wow, it would be great if the entire event was dedicated to unified athletics. It was very, very special night, and kind of solidified our lifelong dedication to unified athletics.
Well, and that's, I mean, you talk to different people that have gained money over time, and some people that have it want to buy mansions. They want to buy a bunch of cars. They want to get an island for themselves. They want to kind of spend the money frivolously. And then there's, you've made money, you've worked hard, and you want to give back. Why have you chosen to do that? Some people, they say some people stay rich because they hoard it, right? They hold it in. And other people, when you have gained what you've gained in your life and what you've been able to do, you turn around in a foundation and say, we want to give directly. We want to give to others. And like you said, it comes from you. It's not soliciting somebody to donate. There's no fundraising. You are the fundraiser. So John, starting with you in this piece, why give of everything you work for?
That's a great question. And there's not a real, at least in my belief, there's not a real clear answer to it. I think it's one of those intangible, the people that get it, get it.
Yeah.
And why one person does and the next guy doesn't, I don't know. I'm blessed that I fall into the category of someone that gets it, and over the years, it's kind of, we've always done it. Now, obviously, not to the level that we're currently at, but the number of charities that we've donated to long before the big sale of the company.
Endless. It feels like we've been engaged with as many as you can imagine. And it's been a wonderful experience.
Yeah, and admittedly, it's $1,000 or a couple $1,000, but in both of our worlds, that's something we've always done. So it's become kind of a second nature thing. And I quite honestly don't know why, I don't know, maybe greed or whatever, why somebody that has been successful misses the importance of being able to give back.
I agree with John. I think we've always done it, but now we structure it a lot more. I mean, on average, we're doing about $2 million annually, and we're very intentional about our giving, depending on what the community needs. But I do think it goes back to how we were raised, what values were reinforced. And I think also our experiences in life. I mean, John and I worked for everything that we have, and I don't begrudge anybody to spend their money however they want to spend it, cars, mansions, whatever, live your life. I think that's great too. But I think just instinctively, John and I, the way that we're wired, we're both looking for opportunities to help.
Well, when we sit here in this room and we think about everything that you're doing,
for Syracuse University and for football, you obviously had to form this team first. So, Laura, I'll go to you with this. I would love to hear the story. Let's see if John can get it right. But how did this team come together with you both deciding that this was going to be the tightest team that you have?
We have hilarious stories that are probably inappropriate.
I was going to say, I'm not so sure.
A lot of
I know it, but I'm not so sure I'm going to share it. So,
well, I mean, obviously we made the decision about doing the 25 million because of we wanted to impact all athletics. But I mean, it all started back in 2016, 2017.
let's just say a pig roast.
Yeah. Oh, how we got together? Or
I think that's where he was
oh,
going
no, I think
with it.
how we started with Syracuse.
Well, how you both got together.
Yeah, that's right. See, I read that one right. Let's just leave it.
The story of the true team.
Let's just leave it as she crashed a pig roast.
Yes.
That I was living on Lake Erie back outside of Buffalo, and we had stag type of pig roast, which was really predominantly all guys. And one of the guys extended an invitation to Laura and one of her friends, unbeknownst to the rest of us. Okay. So we're all sitting there.
I was at a baby shower like 12 doors down from the pig roast with the girls from work, and they invited. He said, "Oh, there's a big barbecue happening down the street," and so I thought, okay, we'll go down the street to this barbecue, like a normal barbecue, I'm thinking, and we're all dressed from this event.
Shower.
And we arrived, and we quickly, it was just a booze fest, and a pig roast booze fest that we were out of place.
And out of fairness, you stayed. You did not leave.
We stayed, we had a blast, and then John and I got married.
Well, there's a little bit in between.
There's a little bit in between, but the short of it. Then we sold our company in 2016, and then we were sitting around one day, and Bob Arkelpane is a great buddy of John's. We became close friends.
He's a teammate of mine.
He was working in Cincinnati at the time, and he came to visit us with Andy Hurley, who used to work here as well. And, they came down to Florida. It's freezing cold in Cincinnati. They wanted any excuse to come down and visit us. And we said, we've been waiting for somebody from Syracuse to call us since we sold the company, and nobody has. Bob's like, you're in luck, because I'm going to hit you up for a donation. And then we had Lally Palooza at our house. Syracuse.com reported on that. That was when
trying to start to re-engage. The development group went through a period where they weren't very active.
Yeah.
And it really kind of hurt the athletics program at the university. And when Bob Arkelpane came here, he started to try and resurrect the alumni engagement. And both Laura and I decided, well, let's see what we can do in our teammate era. So they codenamed the first alumni fundraising type thing.
The funniest part.
Are you going to talk about Gruden?
The funniest part about John Gruden was there. John Wildtake brought him. Yeah. He's hilarious. But the funniest part about it was, all right, so Dino's there. All of our friends are there. A lot of the past players. We had some teammates, former teammates that live in Tampa. It was a big event, and John Gruden, wrote a check for $10,000, and so I'm like, all right, I'll match it, right? Well, an hour before, outside drinking beers with Bob Arkelpane and John Wildhack, John had already committed $1 million just to resurface the football field. So I said, oh my God, Bob, I didn't even mention to John that I was going to match Gruden's donation for $10,000, and Bob said, "Well, that's good because your husband just committed $1 million."
So it was kind of funny. One of the offensive linemen blew his knee out on one of the awful practice fields over behind behind the
it was
complex.
Really bad.
The field was in awful shape, and we sat there, and being an offensive lineman, I'm like, oh man, that's just not right. So that was my first commitment to the program was, well, let's refinish the one practice field. So it only cost me $1 million. It didn't cost me $1,010,000, just for the record.
But when we talked about what we wanted to do in the future, and the deal took years to get where we wanted to be. but that never would have happened without the key people in place. And the key people were the chancellor, John Wildhack,
Chancellor's awesome.
and the team. And you can't find better support and leadership. The chancellor is amazing.
He'll probably get mad at me for saying this, but everyone, and I read some of the social media stuff, and everyone kind of criticizes the chancellor because he doesn't fit the stereotype of a chancellor that's committed to athletics. We have one of the best chancellors in the ACC in his commitment to athletics. He leads the group in the ACC of chancellors, and his commitment to athletics is exceptional. So when you're reading whatever garbage is showing up on social media, I'll tell you, there's nothing further from the truth.
Well, and I've had so many of these conversations recently about, I think 3 in one day, about perception is reality versus reality is reality. And I'm always a proponent for real is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they talk about, your reputation is what people think of you, your character is who you are.
Yeah.
So when you say that he's leading in athletics, and let's put all this other stuff aside because you've spoken with him, you've been around him, what can you say about Kent Severud and why you believe he is leading in athletics and why you believe it's different than what people think?
So I'll tell an anecdotal story. We were playing Miami, and we all know how that ended up. And I come out of I was sitting in with John Wildhack at the time, and the chancellor's out in the hallway, pacing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I said, Chancellor, what's the matter? John, I don't know. I just can't take it. I said, we got this one. I said, we're okay. We got this. This game, we got this one. So if anybody that goes to that level of anxiety over a football game is committed to athletics.
Yeah, I don't think that's how you typically, because I had somebody ask me this, like, am I a Buffalo Bills fan? Now, my team, I wanted my own team, and obviously you have a connection in Florida. My team's been Jacksonville since they came out in '95, but I'm surrounded by Buffalo Bills fans, and so a good friend of mine, Jeff Cook, he had said to me, he was like, and there was a bunch of Bills fans around, and we were at Pizza Man out in Beeville, and he kind of looked like he was going to get emotional. He's like, well, when we don't play you, like you appreciate us, right? and I was like, yeah. He's like, you're like on our side, but like not that game. And so a couple of years ago, when the field goal was missed,
Yeah.
and I'm standing after Tyler Bass missed it, I felt like I was going to throw up. My stomach dropped, and I just felt like I was going to cry at the same time that I felt sick. I went over, I put my hand on his back. I was like, if you ever wondered if I cared. So I can understand the pacing and like that being a story.
Yeah.
But Laura, in your case, when it comes to Chancellor Severud, why do you believe, outside of that story, why he's so committed and why maybe we don't know the full story about who he is to this community and to the school?
Well, I will say we're surrounded by Bills fans too.
Being a Buffalo, yeah.
Our entire family, we've been Bills fans forever.
So the only problem with
generations and
being a Bills
generations.
fan was Rob Gronkowski's dad and I were college roommates, Gordy. So when New England signed Rob, and now I'm got this roommate and his son playing for New England and living in Buffalo, and my loyalty to the Bills caused a lot of internal conflict in my life.
Yeah, but Rob redeemed himself when he
Came to
down to
Tampa,
Tampa,
yeah.
so everybody was
and,
back
and
on.
won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly,
Yes, that's
exactly.
fair.
But
Okay, so go ahead.
From my perspective, like any of our investments, so Syracuse is our biggest investment next to real estate. But we both come from corporate America, and we both spend extensive amounts of time looking at investments and where we want our money to be. So we looked at the leadership team of Syracuse, and we did a deep dive. So we feel like we know the team members in athletics. We feel like we know and trust with our money and with our investment the individuals that are leading the charge. So on paper, the chancellor is ideal. But what wins you over about him, and I think me personally, is he really is kind of it's a dichotomy. You think he's going to be one way, he's very studious and he's very reserved. But then when you start to talk to him, he's so down to earth and he's an excellent listener. And is
Absolutely.
so knowledgeable about a lot of the cutting edge problems or compelling programs in athletics. I guess you would think you're talking to an athletic director, and he's just, if you're looking from an investment standpoint, he gives you all the confidence in the world that where you're investing your money is going to be guarded and uh, and sound.
And like you said, you brought up, you would think that he's an athletic director to the athletic director of John Wildhack. And to your point of people on social media having opinions and not really knowing, I would love, and I've had the opportunity to get to know his sons as well through the
They're
world
awesome.
of sports. So, Laura, to start with you on this, just what John Wildhack has done leadership wise, and why, when you said taking a deep dive and looking at the leadership of Syracuse, why he was another important piece as to a place that you want to give to.
Oh yeah, he was critical. He was with us every step of the way with our donation, along with Bob and along with the chancellor. But John really was, daily in contact with us. Um, he has to have very thick skin. He, like anybody in a position where you have to make tough decisions, you need to have that. Um, he is pragmatic, he is methodical, he is thoughtful, he's incredibly sharp, and he recognizes when it's time to put people, he recognizes who's going to make him stronger.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess Fran is a great example. I mean, what he's done with Fran and working with the football program, I give him a lot of credit for that. Um, I think you would agree. He
Well, I
works.
give him all the credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, he works. His team works nonstop, and that comes from the top down. I mean, that doesn't just happen. He's got people in the right positions. He's got people mentoring others to go to the next level. We both worked in leadership development our whole careers. We worked with thousands and thousands of leaders, and um, John's done a great job from our perspective on a lot of tough things that people don't see.
Well, the negotiation with ESPN on that ACC contract
That's a great example.
is a huge example. Who sees it? Who sees any of that, right?
Yeah.
It's things that the things that he brings to the table that a lot of the community will never see, and he's very instrumental. And again, as the chancellor has been in a lot of the I'm going to use the term turmoil in the ACC, trying to get that whole thing settled out. John played a very integral role. And without John, I don't know whether we would have ultimately done the
25
deal.
million?
Yeah, he was exceptional in his ability to work with us and get the different issues resolved that we had. And to take a look at athletics of 7, 8 years, 9 years ago,
Yeah.
to where we're at today. Well, John gets a lot of credit, for the improvements on the athletic side. We all know there's still improvements that we need to make, but he's done a great job getting us to this point, and hope that we can continue to keep the momentum going.
And he really has rebranded. You mentioned 7, 8, 9 years ago in athletics. He's rebranded the athletics department, and a lot of the alumni that we know personally that were never engaged before. It helps when you have a winning football program, and Fran is unbelievable. I mean, that's an understatement of the century. But a lot of the alumni that were refusing to get involved, he chipped away at them and he chipped away at them and built their trust. And now we've got a lot of engaged alumni from your generation, and people coming up and asking how they can help, which wasn't happening before, and that is largely in part to
Well, it's a
John's
combination.
vision.
John's decision to bring Fran in,
Mm-hmm.
admittedly, was a little bit of a risk because Fran didn't have the head coaching or coordinator experience, but he was so strong in his recruiting and his relationship with his team that if you look at what did we finished 7th, 9th, something like that, ranked recruiting class. When
Yeah, a lot higher than you're used to here.
yeah, absolutely. And I like Dino, and quite honestly, I'm not sure I would have let Dino go because he made that bowl appearance. Or, you know, we ended up making that bowl game. And it's like, you know, my expectation at the time was just make a bowl. You know, if you get us to a bowl game each year, I mean, you know, I can be happy with that. Well, under Coach Fran, and when you were at the ribbon cutting when Chancellor gets up and says, well, he wants to see a top 20 program. And I'm kind of sitting in the chair, kind of giggling to myself, going, well, I can one up that. I'm going to get up and say, well, I want to win an ACC championship. Yeah. And then Coach France, and they're going, well, geez, you guys don't set your goals high enough. I want to win a national championship. And, you know, that mentality that he brings to this program, he's not going to be happy with an ACC champion. He's not going to be happy until we're in a national championship game and win it. Now, I might jump to his side because that's a pretty impressive goal to have. So
my biggest concern was John was unscripted, and I'm like, oh, John's good up there unscripted on a big emotional day.
Well, this is another unscripted day for me.
Yeah,
so you guys.
But I told you I like, and there's no Jerome Smith, who made it to 1,000 yards here at Syracuse, wore number 45 and wore it well, and I still see little kids wearing 45, and it makes me happy because he's an incredible human being. But Jerome said to me one time, he said, "You never have a notebook." And I said, yeah, because I do this crazy thing called listen. And he was like, well, he's like, I wouldn't talk to you. Like, I don't like when people bring that. And I said, well, you know, to me, in order to have a real conversation, I want people watching and listening to feel like they're sitting on a couch with who I'm talking with and with me. Yeah. And we're literally sitting on couches and here today to have this conversation. And to your point about Fran and the expectation, I always keep in my mind, if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. And there was such a limitation here at Syracuse, and this is my hometown. Like I said, I grew up 10 minutes away. So my parents are still here. My grandparents were here when they were alive. And I came back here and to open my company physically in Syracuse and not in any other city. So
you're still shoveling snow then? Right?
I am still shoveling, but Florida is my second home, and we built a second hub there for my company. And I do get down there. I got down there 4 times in the last 3 months, so I'm very grateful to Florida. But yes, I will say I don't like shoveling snow at all. But to the point of, you know, having these expectations, I didn't want my city to be a bowl team. I didn't want to just get to 6-6 and be 500, be mediocre. It's the only sport, college or pro, where over 60% of teams make it into the postseason. Yeah. You can be 5-7, you can be 4-8 one year, and that wasn't good enough. I want somebody here that wants to win a national championship, and because of the Lally complex, because of the money that's been invested, because of the not just the money invested, but what they've done with the money to the facilities and to this new performance center that we're sitting in, to the experience of it, to walking into the cafeteria, to seeing the public spaces, to seeing that and this is something I feel like nobody talks about, every single position has a room. There's an O-line room, there's a tight end room, there's a quarterback room, and you get to see on the wall coming in, and when you're physically in the room, who some of those quarterbacks are, who some of those running backs are, who some of those O-linemen are. Yeah. I love that there's offense, defense, special teams meeting space. There's a meeting space for everybody, but then there's individual rooms where you get to know that you're walking and sitting in a place where all of these different people have come from throughout history. So it's not just the performance center that your name is on, it's what's in it. It's the pools that can move for like what's going on with your body and what you need. I mean, honestly, and I can attest to this, I've been in NFL locker rooms, I've been in NBA locker rooms, I've been in Major League Baseball clubhouses. Syracuse's football locker rooms are professionally made and put together. And John was so excited. He's like, do you know that every single locker has its own like temperature and you can do different things here. So when guys come in and they're sweaty and he's like, and you don't smell it. And so there's all of these intricate pieces. And I know I'm being long-winded, but I can't say enough about this performance center. And there was actually one part that Tyler brought me into, and Tyler goes, hey, we don't know if anybody else has a room like this. Don't talk about it. And they brought me in the room and there's all these things moving in the room. And so, I mean, to really get the experience of a recruit and then to go down the long hallway of Hall of Fame. The first room when you come in here.
Yeah.
But then to go down the Hall of Fame, to look at everyone that's been drafted, to all the teams that have drafted players from Syracuse. There's not enough to be said about every intricate piece of this performance center, and what you've donated as a family has been an integral part of how Syracuse is going to compete in the ACC and in the country, to Fran's point of wanting to win a championship.
Yeah.
And we're when we talk about what we've donated to this facility, there are incredible donors involved in this project. The Bill family, he blocked for Jim Brown. Colby Clark, who runs the football NIL with Joe Burton. The families that have made donations of 4 million, 8 million, 10 million, 15 million. You look at these groups and you don't really hear about them at all, but they're there, and everyone feels the same way. Our facilities people at Syracuse are second to none. Pete Sala and his team are
Maury.
top notch. And I think the one message that we would want people to receive is, if you have the ability to give, and not everybody does, and it doesn't matter the level, but a lot of people say, yeah, I played at Syracuse and I gave my blood, sweat, and tears on the field. Well, we appreciate that. John blocked for Joe Morris. But it takes more than blood, sweat, and tears. It takes money. And, just like NIL, it is the reality. And if you can give, and we'll never ask people to give if we don't give ourselves.
Well, it's all an individual decision that 100%. They have to decide what the value that they got from the experience here and how it impacted their career, good or bad. And then it's an individual decision. For me, very obvious. It was a tremendous outcome, so it was very easy for me to make the decision to give back.
And when we look at, the Lally complex in and of itself, you grow up and you see Manley Fieldhouse, and now your name is on this old Manley Fieldhouse, and then we see pieces that are on the other side between Mello and what Manley Fieldhouse was to where we're sitting right now. It's not just a building, and it's not just one thing. It's your donation and what you've given, over $20 million to give to this community, to give to this school, and to see the Lally complex, and to know that there is so many things that can happen for football, but for athletics in general. And like you said, you have a love for the Olympic sports, you have a love for athletics in and of itself. And for me, sitting with you here today, I want to say thank you that not only have you donated your time and energy and your funds to what's happening in this community, but when we hear complex, it is a multi-purpose, multifaceted donation that has so many layers to it. And I really, like you said, to mention all these other families that are a part of everything as well. But to see what you've done with this complex, I want to say thank you, because I have seen a complete transformation of this entire university, and you've been a huge part of it as a family. And I do appreciate that, because this is my city.
And there's more good to come. This is only phase one.
Yeah, we're not done.
There's a couple more phases to this
Can you tell me?
No, it's all okay.
The phases are public.
I know the phases are public, but is there anything like?
Well, that's they're working one more donation on the facility side for the one-team lounge where football moved out. There's opening up a lounge for all athletics. And John Wildhack sold this back in the beginning. They're trying to integrate all the sports so it does become a one university, a one complex, a one team. And I met with a woman who's consulting, Heather Like, who came from Pittsburgh. And she said, Pittsburgh's just broken up. There are people scattered everywhere. And one of the things that she was most impressed about when she just came here 4 days ago, she says, you got everything integrated into one facility, and your sports teams are all together and like a family, as opposed to, one group in this building, one group in that building, and completely disjointed. So from going back to John Wildhack, he's accomplished one major piece of getting athletics integrated into one place.
In a very, very unpredictable time in athletics, which is a whole layer of another challenge.
Well,
So.
thank goodness you didn't open up the NIL topic, or we'll be here in the morning still talking.
Well, I had two final points, and
It's NIL.
and
One
one of them was
NIL.
was because, well, you kind of addressed it when you were speaking off the cuff here when we opened this performance center, in the sense of, everything that's done here with the performance center is a step toward that, but we still need that NIL initiative to work and be consistent.
So the House settlement went into effect July 1, which is well documented, and will attempt to put some sanity around the NIL world. The university will have what they call a rev share commitment that contribute to the athletics, the individual athletes, excuse me. The NIL then goes through a clearinghouse where all the NIL deals have to be reviewed for value. Meaning, if I'm the car dealer and I want one of the offensive linemen to come in and promote for me, if I give them a $20 million NIL deal, and they're looking at all the other linemen saying, well, best NIL deal for any offensive lineman, $25 million or $25,000, it's not going to go. So those crazy numbers should start to come back in line with something that's a little more reasonable. Now, my friendly amendment is it is college athletics, so who knows what the next lawsuit is, or crazy twist of something that pushes this thing back into chaos. But for the moment,
they're trying to put a fence around the horses.
right.
Which,
For the moment, it actually looks reasonable.
so my final point is something that we do on the show called Rapid Fire. It allows us an opportunity to talk about any topic off the cuff, and we all get to put each other on the hot seat. So we're going to do a round robin. So Laura, you get to put John on the hot seat first. You can ask him anything in the world, and he has to answer it.
Oh, gosh.
Do you remember your anniversary date?
Yes. 12/13.
Yes.
Okay, all right. That's
Yeah.
not the question, but I just want to make sure.
Oh, but listen, I got it right though.
You did get it right.
I always
I struggled, but I got it.
You got it.
You get those off the cuff, on the spot questions like that. It could have cost me a bit of anxiety.
It's like, I never know when John's birthday is. I'm like, it's 23rd, the 24th, 23rd.
So you notice I was going to your birthday, it's November, and it's like, no, that's your birthday.
I always get everyone together to celebrate John's birthday a week before it actually is, so I don't have to get pinned down on what the actual day is. I'm like, it's the 23rd, the 24th. Okay, so it's still my turn.
It's your turn to ask him. I was trying to protect him before you asked him.
You're trying to throw me.
Trying to be your lineman.
You're trying to throw me under the buses.
I was trying to take a question off the table. That's what I was trying to do. All you had to say was yes. You didn't have to say it.
What was the most calories consumed when you were playing in a day?
Okay, not a day. Well, yes, it is a day. So when I was here,
or a week.
No, so the study went over, I think it was about a 10-day period. Dr. Short was a nutrition teacher, and she liked to do studies comparing the caloric intake of a football player versus a wrestler. Okay. And I will answer the question, but you need to know my younger brother was at Cornell University taking a nutrition class and was writing a paper, and calls me up and says, hey, John, I found this paper by Dr. Short in the Journal of American Medical Association. He said, I want to read this to you. For lunch, this one football player had a sandwich with 2 slices of ham, 2 slices of turkey, 2 slices of roast beef, 2 slices of provolone cheese, 2 slices of cheddar cheese on a large roll. Yeah. And you're the only guy in the world that ever put 2 slices of every cold cut you could find on one sandwich. He goes, that's you, right? He says, yeah. He goes, oh my God, you're eating 13,000 calories a day. So the answer is 13,000.
I didn't even count like beer calories.
No, that did count beer,
Okay,
beer
okay, okay.
calories.
13,000.
13 count, the little no piece of that whole thing, you'd think, oh, I went by the picture down in the lobby. I was pretty big, but I wasn't gaining weight. It was during the season while I was practicing, and they practiced you hard enough, you could burn 13,000 calories a day. Now, the good news is I was maintaining my weight.
Yeah.
But I wasn't eating.
All right, Fran, I guess that's your new challenge. Can you get people to burn 13,000 calories?
Well, actually, I think they're trying to get Byron Washington, who is up there, what was he, 3-something? They got him down 40 pounds, and but you got to remember, I was trying to maintain 280, not 340. So
that's true.
So,
all right, John, you can ask me a question.
So when you first came into the athletic facility, the op center, what was the most impressive thing you saw?
That's a good question. I would
see. I could do your job actually.
I would say the pool because I feel like I was born in Atlantis. So I'm gonna say
the rehab pool.
Yeah, the rehab pools are incredible. Yeah. I would also say that seeing the years of what the food was here to what it is now. They had all the food out for the families and for recruits, and we weren't allowed to eat it, but I had to challenge myself to not touch the food that is in this wonderful center now.
So you bring up an interesting point, because when I was here, I graduated in 1982, the food quality was not that great. So one would logically ask, what would you have to eat to actually get to 13,000 calories in one day?
Yeah, no, here, there's a lot of things. I think the recovery pools are incredible. And I would probably say the thing that stuck out to me was the fact that every position had their own room, which I thought was really valuable.
So your listeners will appreciate this. Got to sit through one of the offensive line meetings the other day, and I went into the offensive line meeting room, and when I played, I was a big offensive guard at 285. You know, I'm almost a small tackle, big offensive guard. I walked into that room. If you're not 300 plus, you're sitting on the bench. And so, needless to say, the room looks large, but when it's full of our offensive line today, it does not look that large.
They take up the space well.
Yeah, they fill that room. So,
right. Laura, my question to you, since we're talking about food, I have my own ice cream at Carvel DeWitt, and I have my own sandwich at Mother's Cupboard. If you could create a dish that is the Laura Lally, what would be on it?
Does that have to be buffalo themed, or?
Could be anything.
Whatever you want.
Definitely have to be something with braised short ribs.
Okay.
Like, tell them you've got.
So we've got a family recipe, and we call them the Lally Love Bombs.
Okay.
And these things are killers. They're so good, but they're not lightweight. So it's my favorite thing to make. And I make them all the time for the kids and for anybody that basically, we own a horse farm, and we've got 40 horses, and people that work at the farm all day long. You bring them any food, they're gonna wolf it down. But these things are great. So
you'd want a Lally
Love Bombs. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, we get to spin back around here, so Laura, you get to ask me a question.
Okay. So you said you're not a Bills fan.
I'm a Bills sympathizer.
Okay, so you have to pick a quarterback, Jim Kelly or Josh Allen.
That's ridiculous. My mom met Jim. She used to work with Jim Kelly's brother, and so she got me Jim Kelly's autograph back in the day, and I still have it. And I found it when I was going through everything, so it's back in my studio. But it was on my dresser growing up as a kid. I have a ton of respect for Jim Kelly. It's also how I learned about autism with his son being autistic. I would say, as much as I love Jim Kelly, I really want to see Josh get a ring. And so I'm going to lean on Josh a little bit because he can run. And I went to a Jacksonville game where Jacksonville got in a fight in the end zone that I was at. They got in a fight with the Bills in that game, which was wonderful. Leonard Fournette is a running back, and he's hitting a helmet with his hands like a smart person. But in that game, Josh Allen rushed 8 carries, 100 yards. And I fell in love with his arm at Wyoming when I was looking at his film going into the draft. I did not know he could run. So I'm going to lean on Josh because he's multifaceted a little bit more than Jim. And I really, within the next 3 years, maybe this year, would like to see Buffalo do it.
I think
We would
everybody's
all
hoping
like
for
to see
that.
Buffalo do it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to say Jim Kelly. Just for the
I'm going to say Jim Kelly just
Okay.
because
I'm
we're
old
older than
school,
you. We're
I know.
old
you
school.
know.
We
It's
remember
I
the
only
Andre
say
Reed
because he
days.
can
and-
run, yeah. Only because Josh is he's more of a runner.
Yeah, I mean, the kids, the young kids love Josh
I
Allen.
know,
but
but
us
it's hard
old
to
timers
get
are
Jim
still Jim Kelly. When Jim Kelly came to
Jim
Buffalo,
Kelly is as gritty
he
as
changed it.
Josh Allen was.
Changed
Well, I grew
everything.
up spoiled. I grew up with Brett Favre, Troy Aikman, Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Steve Young, Jim Kelly. Like, I had the lot.
Andre
great
Reed, Bruce
Yeah.
Smith, Daryl Talley,
Thurman Thomas. Yeah.
Thurman Thomas. Yeah.
All right. So, John, my question to you.
Yes.
Okay. If you were blocking for me,
I
And
do the same.
and
as
we
I
could
did for
and we
Joe
could go
Morris.
back in time, how many yards do you think I could get?
Oof. Well, only if you climbed on my back, I guess.
Now, in high school, they wanted me to play running back, but they wanted me to gain 100 pounds. And I remember looking at my body going, where am I going to put it? Maurice Jones-Drew, same height as I am, and he is 100 pounds more than me. And I
Yeah.
looked at his body,
Yeah.
and I went, oh, I would have looked like a tombstone. But he was very light on his feet.
Yeah.
But if we could go back in time, I guess my question to you is what
Depends which team we're playing.
Okay.
What position? Oh, you.
What position would I be?
I'd say field goal kicker.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'll
don't
take
do that
I'll
to
take
him.
it. I used to be able to kick. I think I would be a good corner. I think I would be a good corner.
Hey, by the way,
Don't
I,
take that
I have
harassment
a, I
from
have a
him,
great
Dan.
sense of humor. Just
There
for
you
the
go.
record.
All right, John. So
No,
but-
I'll tell you that with Joe Morris as a running back, you couldn't. We couldn't have been happier. As I'll never forget. My dad was at one of the games, and on Sunday, I'll go down at the training area getting thumbs fixed or whatever was broken at the time.
Yeah.
And my dad goes walking in, he looks, he says, "Is that Joe Morris?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "He doesn't have an ounce of body fat. He could be a boxer." I said, "Yeah, and also a great running back." So yeah,
And he's an incredible human being.
Yeah.
We love him.
Well, now that you
so your running back was probably not going to be my
well,
pet.
now that you've done that to me on camera, I have some questions from social media. No, I'm kidding.
We love social media questions.
John, you're
I can answer almost anything, or from my corporate world, I can not answer almost
Yes.
anything. So.
Fair enough. Field goal kick, I'll take it. So I made the team.
Yeah, listen,
all
you're
right.
on the field. So
I'm on the field. All right, Fran. So you're the final question of our conversation is you getting to ask your wife anything you want.
So, since we've come to the city of Syracuse frequently, what is, because we're still going to stick with the food theme here.
Mm-hmm.
What is your favorite restaurant when we come into town?
Okay, this is a lot of fun because John and I love
We
food.
won't,
Love to go
we
eat.
won't
Love
talk about
food.
where we ate last night because
Yeah.
that did not fall into a
So,
favorite restaurant category.
So we like to walk wherever we go because for some, you want to at least feel like you're participating in burning calories. But we go to Kitty Hoynes a lot. So I would say for casual, Kitty Hoynes. We go to Lemongrass all the time. We go to Drumlin's constantly because the food's really good. And I think we go
Yeah,
to
but
Prime Steakhouse. We've gone to a bunch of times and had a great experience.
Yeah, but that's four. I think
have
the
to pick a
question was,
favorite?
what's the favorite, right? The favorite would be one.
Well, see, you made me the kicker.
Okay.
She punted on that.
I would go. I'm gonna go with Drumlin's because I love the
Okay.
people over there, and we always go with folks that we haven't seen in a while, and we meet them there, and you can have a big group or a small
So
group.
you clarify Drumlin's for lunch.
Drumlin's
have-
for lunch, and I'm gonna say, because I'm a beer and
OB
cheeseburger girl, and I'm gonna go with Kitty Hoynes because I can get a beer and a cheeseburger.
Okay. I have been to both. Kitty Hoynes has some good stuff. They have some good things to offer. Drumlin's is just, it's a nice experience. I just like
Yeah,
Drumlin's
I mean,
in and of itself.
what you see is what you get. I'm usually in a baseball cap and I'm usually in shorts and a t-shirt, and so is John. I mean, when you said, should I wear a suit today?
Yeah, I did.
I had to keep from laughing
It
because
was
I'm like,
90
I don't know
degrees.
the last time John had to wear a sport coat. He and Fran were talking about, hey, you can wear a tie at this ribbon cutting.
No, that was the that was the NIL golf outing.
Oh yeah, the NIL golf outing. So
and athletics is trying to convince us to wear a sports coat and tie. So I call Fran. I said, Fran, you wear a sports coat and tie to this thing? He goes, no. What are you wearing? I said, how about a golf shirt? He goes, yeah, golf shirt's perfect.
The struggle is to make sure that John actually matches, right? So like every football game I wear the same shirt because that's my lucky shirt. I wear the same rugby shirt every
You are a true Buffalonian in the fact that you have to have that.
Exactly. I have a whole ritual.
Yes.
But John will wear like plaid shorts and a polka dot shirt and something camo. I'm like, that looks awesome. I fell in love with John because he's his own man. He does not fit into the box that everyone thinks that he should fit in. They think, hugely successful businessman, he should be this way, but he is completely his own man, and I love that.
That comes out of the offensive guard side.
Yeah, he really doesn't give
offensive linemen really don't
two shakes
care.
about what people think.
So.
Well, and what I like is Fran and I had the same conversation with you. What are you going to wear to this event that we're doing? So, Fran, we both chose golf shirts, which I love, but for John Lally, for Laura Lally, for the Lally Foundation, and of course, for everything that you've done to give back to the community of Syracuse, New York, upstate New York, central New York, and of course to Syracuse University. I want to say thank you for being here on Wake Up Call for this special today. And I just appreciate the fact that we finally got to do this. The last time you and I spoke was years ago for about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And now we got to actually unpack a lot of the journey.
I'm coming out of my shell. It's the new me.
Yeah, well, hey, listen, I like off the cuff. Like I said, there's no notebooks here. So thank you, John, and thank you, Laura.
Thank you. And when we were talking, we got off the phone the one day, and I called John because I was at a horse show. And John said, how'd it go? Should we do this? Should we sit down with him and do it? Should I do this interview? And I'm like, I love this guy. We talked for 2 hours.
We did. We talked for an hour. She landed. We talked for another hour. And all I said was, enjoy Tennessee, because I would love to be there. So
yeah. So we're glad that we did it. It was a lot of fun. This was nerve-wracking.
It's great being in the house.
It's great being in the house. Nobody's here this week, but
no coaches. No players are still here. Yeah. Coaches have a couple days off.
Yeah. Well, it's coming off a 4th of July weekend, and
Fran does work those guys pretty hard, just for the record.
And Fran, just so you know, my shirt, laundry, and anything that's in your office was completely placed there by accident. I had no part. I was not in there.
So, Fran, just so you know, where's number 66? We need to get an upgrade to the recruiting room. This is all low number players. We want to show some love for the offensive linemen, please.
Dan, what a lot of people don't know is that I am way faster in a wind sprint than John is. I can outrun John.
Listen, I'm in a wheelchair at this point. Are you kidding?
John.
For
has
how many
speed,
years have you been able to outrun him?
Years. I just smoke him. He can't even touch me.
Oh, God, now it's going to deteriorate.
Well, with that being said, I love that in the wind sprint. And why I said corner for me is because I can do back pedals pretty well. And Julian Wiggum, who played for Syracuse, he goes, I think you could probably do better than me right now. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And as we always say on this show, God bless, no stress, do your best. Have a wonderful day. Syracuse, you know we love and appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. You will find everything you need from hockey, soccer, basketball, baseball, and football to Disney Lorcana, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and Pokemon while supplies last. Of course, you'll find singles, graded cards, packs, boxes, so you can look through their display and pick out something that you could see. Or you could test your luck and see what you'll find in those packs and boxes. Some great things added to my collection have come from GG Cards and Breaks. Actually, many great things have come from GG Cards and Breaks in my collection. So make sure you head over there today and enjoy being a big kid, because it's all about that big kid spirit, and you definitely have that. GG Cards and Breaks is a place where we definitely have such a wonderful, wonderful place to go in our community to be together and to be closer to our teams, closer to the players that we love and to the games that we love to play and the characters that we love to see. So there's nothing like GG Cards and Breaks. They go the extra mile, and you can go the extra mile by going to see them today, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and Sundays from 10 to 5. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for tuning in this morning to the show. Ton of fun here, as always, as we get to celebrate where sports meets life inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. I can't thank Papa Joe enough for his expertise in the world of baseball and sports and life in general. And of course, many thanks to the Lally family, to John and Laura, for joining me here today to tell their story in an expanded way, a multi-layered approach to what they do, why they do it, who they are, and what it means to them to help the Central and Upstate New York community and beyond. So I appreciate everyone for joining us here today, including my guests, and of course, many thanks to all of you for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /Wake Up Call DT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Once the shows go live, they jump into the archives, and you can check them out by going to Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So make sure you go and do that today. We're going to be adding my conversation with John and Laura Lally to the archives. We're also going to be adding my conversation with Papa Joe today. Lori said, super inspiring. Kevin said, great interview and great to see things about Syracuse University from a different perspective. Really enjoyed the interview. So thank you all for tuning in. Of course, for our North Carolinian listeners and visitors, you could check out the Brooklyn Pickle in Southern Pines, North Carolina, on 1788 Old Morganton Road, right down the street from Pinehurst Golf Course. So make sure you go out there today and enjoy yourself some Brooklyn pickle down in the great state of North Carolina. And of course, many thanks to our team of partners in Central and Upstate New York: Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Bryan's Landing, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world, Bryan's Landing. Once again, I have to echo it and say it again because I want some Bryan's Landing brunch right now. Pizza Man, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Mother's Cupboard, GG Cards and Breaks, and Avicoli's. And of course, we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins, Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse, and your Binghamton University Bearcats. You can find the Dolphins every Wednesday during Dolphin Time at 9 a.m. Eastern Time with student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. You'll find the Bobcats every single month with the Bobcat Buzz, and I'm very excited that the Bobcat Buzz is going to be bringing you an exclusive on the signing of Kai Pugh to the men's basketball team coming up this Wednesday, which will be Wednesday, July 16th. And of course, many thanks to the Binghamton University Bearcats, who have Bearcat Time here on Wake Up Call every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni. You can find all of our content with these wonderful partners by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Lemoyne playlist, our BSC Syracuse playlist, and our Binghamton playlist. Each of these wonderful schools are on YouTube, as well as on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com for the Dolphins, Syracuse.BSC for the Bryan and Stratton College Syracuse Bobcats, and BinghamtonBearcats.com for Binghamton Bearcats coverage. With that being said, thanks again to Papa Joe and to John and Laura Lally. Thank you to all of you for being with us. And if you missed a second of it, or you just want to be able to share it or play it back, my special wake-up call presentation with John and Laura Lally from the recruiting room on site at the new Performance Center for Football at Syracuse University will re-air as its own special today at noon Eastern Time. So in less than an hour, you'll be able to watch it. Actually, less than a half an hour, I should say. You'll be able to watch it again. So that's at noon Eastern Time today, July 10th. We will be airing the John and Laura Lally special here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as its own separate broadcast. So make sure you don't miss that. That'll be on YouTube and Facebook, both /WakeUpCallDT. For now, find us on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, X at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. And in the meantime, and as we always say, God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk soon. From the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, remember that you are amazing and that your opinion of yourself is the one that matters. So make sure that you take care of yourself, your mental health, the way that you treat people. Go out there and do good things in this world. And remember, God loves you.